Awesome. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Samson. As I was introduced, I'm from Nairobi, Internet Solutions, Kenya. And my colleague.
I'm Watson. I'm from SECOM. I'm based in Quebec, and I work for SECOM.
Awesome stuff. So I will be the captain. He's going to be the co-captain. Is it first officer or something like that? So we'll take you at an altitude of maybe 10,000 so you can enjoy the view. Brilliant. So we like the way the previous conversations have proceeded. We started with setting up a network and adding stuff on the network, vendors and things like that. And now we guys are coming from a perspective of managing this network. A colleague of mine asked me one time, what do you do once you establish a network? And they say, layer 3 engineers, once they establish a network, they come to see what system administrators are doing while they are DJing and while they are playing around with their music. So we are from the dark web. It's a beautiful day, and I'll tell you more about the company I come from, Internet Solutions. I know most of you have heard about it. We are an ISP and a subsidiary of Dimension Data. Probably Watson can tell us more about SECOM.
From SECOM, we're a network operator. Basically, we're based on the east side of Africa, and we've also got capacity on the west side of Africa. We're predominantly everywhere where you understand.
Awesome stuff. So I'll tell you about our products and services. They are more or less the same, but you can see me after this talk for a briefing on it. We do offer co-location. We do offer connectivity, which is our primary business for now. We do offer data centers services. Primarily, we'll be talking about security. And we do also offer wholesale products. So if you're interested in that, we can partner with it. What Wilfred was supposed to tell you is that we also have open peering.
Like Samson is saying that the network guys have been talking, the peering guys have been talking. We as the IT guys are normally the guys who do all the auxiliary services which help the networks run. So basically your time, your NTP, your servers, your data centers, your servers, we are the guys who basically take care of them. And there's also the other aspect that we hardly ever talk about, the end user. And today we'll be talking about how to protect the end user. And Samson, I'll give it to you.
Wonderful stuff. We are from the World Wide Web. It's a wild web that we guys are coming from. So we're going to take you a far bit. Our topic today is defense in depth. And by this, I mean, we are looking at the OSI model, kind of an approach to addressing security challenges. And I know we've all have an incident. Probably by the show of hands, maybe someone can tell me if they've never been attacked or they've never had an incident like a virus, received a spam email, or phishing attack. Anyone in the room? Well, it looks like none. So we are your solution providers. I'll take you back the history of cybersecurity challenges. It started before the 80s, definitely, but I'll take you back in the 80s when we had the first generation, the boot virus. And it only attacked individual PCs. And mostly the response time was something like weeks to resolve. Definitely why the response time was long at that particular point in time, you do understand the capabilities could not match the challenge.
Gonna test this. All right, then you fast forward through the slides, as you can see, second generation, third generation, fourth generation, and where we are now, current generation, where viruses, cryptoviruses, Trojans, the damage is immediate. Gone are the days where you had weeks or hours or days to see a virus propagating through a network. Nowadays, once you've got an infection, it's immediate.
It is immediate. Just a quick view on cybersecurity and cyber criminal activities that are carried out online. We have cyberbullying, which is very common. We have cyber terrorism, extortion. We have warfare that's really taken effect, especially with the coming up of terror attacks. You've heard of the cyber caliphate and stuff like that. It's a branch of ISIS, basically. They are the cyber army. Our projections are, if there will be a third world war, God forbid for that, it wouldn't be a warfare of guns and stuff like that. It will be entirely a cyber warfare. We heard of the Estonia attacks and many more that haven't come to the news. There's financial fraud also, that's quite high. There's identity theft, information warfare. We all know phishing scams, spams, obscene content on the internet. From the dark web or the darknets, we know of drug trafficking and selling of human being organs and a lot of dirty stuff happening there. Computer viruses, which are common, DDoS attack, and malware, which we are going to focus on today.
So basically, cybercrime, I can say that it just boils down to three things. One, it's either to prove a point and bring down your service. Two, to deface, bring down your service by whatever, pawning it as they use in cyber slang. Or three, just take over your services and use them for their own malicious activities, and also to fund terrorist activities.
Wonderful. So once you establish the 100 gig network that we are developing, it's a highway, and we can do wherever we want from it. We all know the sources of threats. They can be anywhere, but majorly is from the internet. We also have them from email. We have software vulnerabilities, removable data storages. Their user action, which I think contributes to like 80% of it. We have network vulnerabilities, improper configurations that also has a big chunk on that contribution.
Whilst we're trying to find the correct slide. So basically, sources of infection into people's PCs, nowadays the most common vector is normally email. Why? Because email has now become the default way of communication through the internet. And through the usage of social engineering, people can just easily click on any link and get whatever threat or payload into their networks.
Awesome. We did a case study, you know, all of you being on the news, I think last year running towards September, we had the NHS attack, very many attacks happening on the internet. And we weren't exceptional to these attacks. We had one of our customers who was attacked, who got a threat email that he was going to be attacked. We had several who were attacked, of course. I chose this particular case study because it was one successful one that we were able to mitigate way before it happened. A sneak preview on what ransomware is. It is the word ransom and the word where. Basically, it is a malware that threatens to block by encrypting or infringing on data privacy unless you pay a ransom for that. And the common mode of this attack is through Trojans. If we talk about traditional ransomware attacks, I know a case in Kenya you're working with, because I also work with the national security government in Kenya. We had a case where a small boy was kidnapped, and the kidnappers demanded ransom in terms of payment, and they made one silly mistake. They sent an email. The rest of the story is history. So in most cases, this is kind of an advanced attack. The demand for ransom, it's more sophisticated compared to the traditional attacks that people perpetrate.
So why ransomware and why the normal email notification that your computer has been encrypted, and unless you pay X amount of Bitcoin, is because most of the time it's Bitcoin, you cannot be traced unless you exactly know what you're doing about. It's probably going to go to a Bitcoin address which no one is following, and then from there, once it's on the Bitcoin ledger, it can be moved up and down until it comes out through your normal fiat networks and cashed out. Hence the reason why they use ransomware emails to encrypt your machine and then tell you that pay X amount of money, and only then will they give you the decryption key. And 90% of the time, actually 100% of the time, that decryption keys do not work. So I always say never pay that ransomware.
Great. Sneak preview of the email customer received is something that comes like that. We'll dwell on this a bit much more later. Watson is going to tell us a similar scenario that happened in their company. And probably either one of us is going to say how we were able to overcome the challenge.
A couple of years back, 2017, I think as most of you know, 2017 was the rise of crypto viruses. So in the IT emails, I happened to see an email where one of my users was complaining that her files were scrambled. And a couple of minutes later, I saw another email from another user saying that her files were scrambled. And the coincidence of these two people having the same scrambling happening to their machines in two geographical different locations, to me, proved that something else was dodgy on the network. Immediately, I phoned one of our senior personnel in the company and I told them that I'll be removing all financial systems off the network until we could see the spread of how far this thing had gone. Working with my team throughout the world, Kenya, India, South Africa, we spent the whole night tracing this virus using some open source software and some in-house software. We managed to stop the spread of the spread and the propagation of this virus going through the network. And I think the business probably lost only a couple of hours downtime compared to us losing all our financial data through the night had that virus propagated and spread through the network. So as a result of that, this caused me to review all my internal security systems and models, which I had previously based organization on. And now we've moved to a totally different security model where the traditional Windows guy will say deploy a Windows domain and control Windows PCs using Active Directory. That is stopped. I've got no machines on the domain which are connected to the domain. We've moved all our applications from being in-house to being cloud-based. Why? To reduce the probability of risk and the probability of infections jumping through user PCs onto our CRM platforms, ERP platforms, financial platforms, ticketing platforms. All of these things we moved them away from sitting inside the house, and everything is now sitting in the cloud.
Amazing. Quite a story to reckon by. You know, I was just wondering, how was the feel when you saw this email, and how did you prepare to talk to your CFO, removing financial systems and considering that close?
As engineers, we're paid to come up with solutions. We're not paid to panic.
Great stuff.
So also at the same time, safe computing is just like safe sex. Never trust anyone.
All right. It is what it is. I mean, receiving this email, and in most cases, I think these incidents, when you receive them, your mind is totally blown off. You're probably not thinking about anything like that. I remember being forwarded for this email at about 8 p.m. at night. Of course, that's a point in time when, as an engineer, you're probably preparing to retire and do some family work. So we're always caught flat-foot. And I know we all manage incidents. And the thing is, we normally wonder, where do we start? And stuff like that.
So with me, if you look at your ransom emails which come to the end user, those are socially engineered to invoke the highest point of panic in the end user. Your files have been decrypted, your machine is locked down, you cannot use your machine anymore. So as a result, your typical end user, what do? They panic and they'll gladly pay off the ransomware, which they'll gladly pay off the Bitcoins which are required to give them the Bitcoin. I think in my history in IT, I've probably opened only 3 of those emails which say, please pay X amount of money. Because normally most of the time, they just look at the extension which has been used to encrypt the files, and then from there, I know what action to go about. If you think about it, your Zepto, your Lockit, your WannaCry, all of them have got specific extensions on them. At the moment you can identify this is the extension which is sitting on this person's PC, then at least that way we know which way to go and how to act upon it.
Amazing. I think around the same time in September, we all remember the price of Bitcoin shot up to about $2,000, something that was not even a dollar. If you look down, probably less than 10 years ago. And as a contingency measure, not to talk about it, but there are some financial institutions that started stocking up Bitcoins in a way to try and go about the cyber threats that existed at that point in time. And the demand for this is one of the reasons that brought about the shoot up of the price of Bitcoins.
So not to regress too much from the issue, at the moment, I won't mention any vendors, but I don't think there's any security vendor on the market right now who can defend against any crypto virus. So if we go back to your slide, identify, assess, review, control, go back, mitigate, monitor, and threat management. So basically identify was email come in and we see the patterns. We've got users seeing their machines being scrambled. Assess what's the impact of this. These people, they cannot use their machines anymore. Review, the impact and the damage is bad. We have to say a way to control this. Control, remove the machines totally from the network. Once the machine has been infected, remove it completely from the network. Do not allow the user to continue working on the machine. Shut down the machine, even if it means physically taking it away from their hands. No, I need to save this file. No, step away from the machine. Mitigate, we've had to come up with new solutions on how to deal with these problems. Previously, I would try to recover the machines. Nowadays, if a machine is infected, destroy the machine, give the person a new machine. Why? I believe in a 3-2-1 philosophy. Your data is intercepted before it reaches your machine and it's archived. Your data on your machine is backed up and archived. And the offsite and the archive sitting on your machine, we back them away remotely. Hence, the probability of you losing your data is becoming slimmer and slimmer. We'd rather give you a new machine than try to combat what's happened on your machine.
Now, among the key reasons why these attacks were successful is because we have all security techniques that most people still believe in, and they're deploying even on their core networks and corporate networks. And this is the analogy that everyone has, even IT guys who are experienced and they've been in the industry for quite a long time, that the firewall is everything. I remember having a conversation with a finance guy, and we had a budget, and you put a firewall there, you put endpoints, you put anti-spam service, and they would ask like, but we have a firewall. It's supposed to be everything to us.
So a poorly configured firewall is just a waste of time. It doesn't make a difference. Your firewalls need to be continuously updated to the latest threat patterns which are happening in the world. And if you've got a proper configuration in place, then you won't have any problems. But most of the times, you'll find that your configuration, which was working last week, might not necessarily be working today, as a different port or a different vector is being used to bypass the firewall. And also traditionally, your antiviruses used to be put on-prem, but now we've realized that on-prem antivirus solutions, they are slow to update the CVEs. Hence, using a cloud-based antivirus solution, which has got agents deployed on your machines, on your users' machines, effectively what you've done is now you've turned your whole corporate network into a honeypot network. As long as reporting is enabled on those agents, if anything happens on the machines, those agents can report immediately back to you and tell you that so-and-so's machine has been infected. Whereas back in the days, you have to report to the antivirus server will report back to you, and that method is no longer working. So hence the need to move away from on-prem antivirus machines onto cloud-based antivirus solutions, which get updates way faster, and they are fast to update the agents on the user's machines. And most antivirus solutions normally only update the user's PCs when the user is in the office. With your cloud-based antivirus solutions, as long as the user's got internet, that machine can be updated with the new and the latest policies.
Very true. A simple video on YouTube can direct a 10-year-old kid on firewall evasion. I know firewall evasion is a topic that we are doing on OffSec, but simple clicks, a child who can follow up instructions will evade a firewall and find a hole into your network. So back into old ways of thinking on security, we believe everyone on the internet is a suspect. They say the only way to stay secure is shut down your machine. I mean, that will guarantee you security. And now for the admins like us, we tend to believe that everyone within the organization is trustworthy. And the security model we use on the previous snippet, we are built to lock outsiders. We believe that the antivirus system is everything. In most cases, we don't have monitoring in place. We don't have NOC, we don't have SOC, we don't review our event viewers and stuff like that. And most of our networks, you'll find that they are limited or no internal segmentations. So you will find the HR server running payroll is on the same network, not segmented either by a VLAN or whichever security mechanism that runs on it.
My philosophy to that is I don't trust anyone. We might work together in the same company, but I don't trust anyone because I don't know where your machine has been. I don't know where your USB is coming from. I don't trust anyone.
Yeah, you lack trust. All right. What's the approach of this? Because we as ENOGAs, SAFNOGAs, we've come to share ideas on the kind of an approach that we guys are taking to the challenges that we are having. And these are the defense in-depth approach that we guys have. We looked at the OSI model from the application layer all the way to the physical layer. And we've been able to come up with strategies that you cannot guarantee 100% security. I can see Nishal raising his head up. That's something like to prevent it between 80 to 90%. Now,
so if I might add, most companies, there's something as simple as send a framework policy to establish that your emails are coming from your organization. Basically, if you enable send a framework policies on your DNS, that's where we'll know that any email coming from x.com is definitely coming from x.com. If any server, mail server decides to send an email and it's not on the send a framework policy for that x.com, any mail server in the world is going to reject it or soft fail it. So hence, these are some of the reasons which we teach our end users every now and then that we do monitor the emails as well, but also at the same time, if there's a soft fail which has been added onto the email, be careful. Establish the authenticity of the email which you've received. If you don't know who it's coming from, you rather delete the email. If it was a genuine email, that person will send you again another email.
When I received that email, I was shown and I convened a quick technical meeting. And the first thing we had to establish was the authenticity of the email that was sent to the customer. And in the next clip, I'll show you the tools that we guys used. But in most cases, we tell the customers, do not respond to that email. Let the experts get engaged on it. While assessing the customer's network, we proceeded and did a vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, because these are thieves who threatened you that they're going to hit into your house. So how do you react to that? You'll try to look at the walls, check the windows, check the doors, talk to the security guard, change the security guard if you don't trust them. Look at the fence, have a defensive approach towards what could possibly happen to get these guys out of the network. And we also did quick rounds on the customer network. We built a patch management system for them. We quickly checked their softwares, which one are running, who are the vendors, when were they last updated, are they legacy systems, and things like that. And we also moved quickly into building a DR for the customer. Should the DDoS come, not as ransomware, but as massive packets to their network, rendering their network unusable, what was our approach to that? To quickly migrate the critical stuff into our DR segment of the network. And we activated our NOC and stuff like that. We do also have a cloud scrubbing solution. We've talked so well about peering, the peering database, the open policies to peering and things like that. But was this attack going to come from someone we've entrusted?
So to add on to what you're saying, that's the academic and corporate approach to analyzing problems and dealing with them. I'm a practical person. I don't believe in patch management systems. My users will complain that my laptop is updating continuously. I need you to stop it. I'll never block Windows updates. The days where I used to have a WUS server sitting on the network are long gone. These days, I let the machines update straight from the internet. Why? As soon as an update is released, let the machines update themselves. If you're going to be running a patch management system on your network, someone needs to approve updates and push them to the users. Whereas with Windows 10, updates are automatically turned on and they're pushed down to the machine. I'd rather have a user spend 4 hours or 2 hours downtime whilst that machine is busy updating and getting the latest patches.
The email we received came from a country, I won't mention it, but restricts revealing the user identity. So we could see the last mile IP address if we check the headers, but from that, you wouldn't know who sent that email. So we moved in quickly on the customer's network and set up sensors. I know the product that you see down there, it's called a canary box. And it has a lot of capabilities. One of them, it was able to assist us to reply to that email. And we were sure of one thing, that immediately these guys open that email, we will know their source. And in our assessment, we were able to narrow down to the organization where this email was coming from.
As much as I love Canary systems, I believe it's one of your founders who came up with that box. I've worked with it before. And as much as I love with Canary systems, my thing is most threat actors normally hide behind bot networks. And you going against a bot network is basically going against someone whose machine has been compromised. He doesn't know that his machine has been compromised. So basically, bot networks are people's machines or networks which have been compromised to send you that attack which is happening on your machine. And the chances of you litigating against some grandmother in Afghanistan that your machine sent this email is next to zero. So most of the time, that's why I don't even bother looking at those emails. I prefer just to deal with the infection, get rid of it, report the IP, blacklist it, and move on.
In our uncertainty of what kind of DDoS attack that was going to be, was it going to be crypto? Was it going to be traditional massive traffic sent to your router, rendering it useless? We put up the custom on cloud scrubbing solution by Arbor Networks.
Does it work?
Doesn't work. All right. Arbor Network basically, at the point of peering, you can be able to drop any traffic that's malicious. So you offer more or less like a clear pipe solution for the customer. Imagine if the traffic is originating maybe from the United States to Africa. The cost of bandwidth is something that's not that negligible as most of us will think. But my approach towards security is the more you restrict it at the source, the more efficient for you.
So that's why it's best that security is not a one department thing. Security involves every department, from your IT guys, your system engineering guys, your software guys, your network guys. As all of us are working in concert, then these threats can be stopped.
Now, as much as we had set up the breach detects, the honeypots that would allow you on who is likely to attack your network, the other approach we had was setting up cloud security, because the customer had critical services, the financial systems, running from the cloud. And they have a lot of users internally, and we must ensure that whatever these users are accessing is legitimate. So we had to apply some policies to prevent them from opening up phishing websites.
Do that, we move on.
He's happy with that. We agree for once. Now, regarding our disaster recovery site, we all agree that security is not a 100% approach kind of a thing. You wouldn't walk into a customer and promise them that I guarantee you security 100%. What if they are attacked? Who is going to take the blame? We don't guarantee that while you're driving, you can't have an accident.
I think the best thing to add on to that one is common sense is vital when it comes to security. As much as IT budgets are a diminishing asset in every organization, sometimes we need to really stress the point that as much as we secure our data in-house, we also do need third-party places where our data can be kept off-site. And in the event that we lose our primary sites, we can quickly activate our secondary sites and continue working from there. So as part of good practices, it's best that you come up with policies to see how effective can you bring down your primary and bring up your secondary site, and see how much business you're going to lose between migrating from a primary to a secondary site.
And when that fails, cyber insurance. We can't compensate you.
Some guys have got the money to pay for the insurance, but not everyone has got that kind of money, but yes, it's a possibility.
I don't think you don't have the money. If you can afford a Mercedes-Benz, then you can as well afford to insure a bit of it comprehensively.
So if you look at your typical business, you can afford to lose a couple of hours or a couple of days of data, but you can't afford to lose 6 months or a year of your financial data, because if you don't know who you owe money and you don't know who owes you money, your business might as well just close shop, because there's no way you're going to survive.
Back into our OSI model, DNS URL filtering as part of the defense approach towards the solution. If we know phishing sites, we can blacklist them and they won't even be able to resolve. Products like Nominum, Cisco Umbrella, and much more products. We were able to give the customer solutions for him to select which one he thinks he can afford.
So the beauty about URL filtering, managed firewall services, those require you to have a big IT department. But most of the time, they're also open source solutions which can also do the same thing. Your pfSense, your Getter, there's so many of them which I can mention, which can also do the same thing, where as long as you program them and update to the latest RPLs, real-time blacklistings, you can provide the same protection which your commercial firewalls are providing end users.
Intrusion prevention systems. It is already. We have to ensure that the customer has this and that the software is updated continuously with new signatures. Another approach we had was fishnet. And in most cases, these are for user education and sensitization. We tried sending an email to the users internally, and we waited for a response. And this was the content of the email we sent. Your password is expiring in 2 hours. So that you're not locked outside, click on this link and change your password. And of course, it will ask you for your old password before putting in the new one. And FishNet is a product which I like so much because it can narrow down who did what by IP address. And these are people we will train, sensitize them again, and send a secondary email, like the one that you will receive normally if your password is about to expire in 10, 5, or 3 days, depending on the threshold you set.
So basically, social engineering has been used for a long time to spread and compromise people's networks or people's machines. It's best that you educate your users through sending out email alerts, visual cues, your posters, your just anything to update them. That do not click on unknown sources of emails. Do not click on emails asking you to change your password. Because at the end of the day, your typical internal IT support will never send you those emails. So basically, social engineering is busy working on people's fears and asking them to deliberately click on those links. And also, if you think about what you're saying on internal audits, as much as I said beforehand, I don't trust anyone. My IT guys get audited as well. I also get audited. So we do have our internal audits and we also do have external auditors. As much as we do have a security team, we do have also external auditors who come and audit our work. And anything we do is reported back and said, we have to come up with a list of the things we are doing.
All right, we're running up to lunch. Secure Connect is one thing we deployed. Vulnerability scanning is one thing we spoke about. Web, email security, penetration testing. Our success criteria as internet solutions, our customer was not attacked. We were able to track the source of this email. We were not keen on taking legal action for obvious reasons. We moved into blacklisting and null routing the suspected source. We detected amplification attacks and volumetric attacks, but we were able to stop that. And we continued helping the customer and reviewing the internal processes and procedures. And it was a win-win situation for both of us.
So with me, my success criteria is the ability to be able to sleep at night. I'm a lazy system engineer. As long as my users are not complaining that the machines are infected, that means we're doing something right.
Great. So probably you may be having questions. I can see the lunch tokens going around.
Any questions?
You can choose to ask us the questions of our luncher. Anyone else besides Nishal?
Hi there, my name is Nishal. This time I'm a concerned community member. I disagree with a lot of what you've said, but I've never been an enterprise system administrator, so I'm not gonna question all of them. I just wanna talk about two that I think are quick and easy. Your advice about not running a WSUS server. Now, I remember when I did work in stuff a long time ago, that was the localized Windows update server. Not being able to do that not being able to update from a local copy, and your advice on telling people not to do that is really, really bad. Because it works for you while you are connected via a 100 gigabit network to the local Microsoft copy that's in your country. But that's not the case for the rest of this region. And not having a WSUS or whatever it's called, cached and available on a local network where your user can then get it at LAN speed, as opposed to trying to get it at your WAN speed across where their next Microsoft hop is a really bad advice. What you should be advising is that the administrator of the WSUS server should be making sure on a daily basis that it has been kept up to date, or by hourly or whatever frequency period Microsoft releases cache updates these days. And not just Microsoft. If there is actually an Apple update system, because Apple gets updates just as much as Microsoft these days. I know because I have a Mac. So I think that's bad advice. You're overgeneralizing because you're taking what works for you in your environment and extending that to the rest of this region is not necessarily the same. The second thing that I disagree with you is when you said that it is expensive to deploy DNS filtering. If I change hats somewhere here, I have a hat that says something that runs 9.9.9.9. That is a free system that you can use. So if you want to get the benefit of DNS services, and you don't necessarily need reporting, and I explained why we can't do reporting to you, you're welcome to use Quad9. It's open, it's free, and we think it can be trusted, and at least the millions of people that are using it now agree with us as well. The rest I'll discuss with you over lunch.
I think I agree with you, Nishal. We disagree with you. In terms of vulnerability management, and especially when it comes to patch, my approach is, why don't you create a system restore point for that? Because I know the concern people have when running a patch management system is, what if my system breaks? How am I going to be able to roll back? For me, I think a lot of these operating systems, in particular Windows, comes with a system restore point. And think of your backup policy to address those concerns.
I did mention the backup policy 321. I did mention that. And also the reason why I was talking about updating straight from the internet. Yes, we do have some certain organizations where they might not be able to afford a good quality pipe to the internet. But if you do have the ability to have a pipe to the internet, and where you've got users who are not predominantly office-based, then having a WSUS server negates all that stuff. That's why I mentioned that. Bob?
Bob, thank you. And I hope we are still at 10,000 feet, because I didn't hear the announcement for landing. So
we are about to land.
We are about to land. Okay. So two quick questions. I think in the whole presentation, I did not see possibly, if it were to get to that point, where would you involve law enforcement? Are they relevant in your whole, for example, some of the cases you listed? Do you think at some point maybe law enforcement would be involved? And if yes, at what point? And secondly, so that the next person or the next entity does not fall victim of the same, the same threat, to what extent is this information being shared with any other parties or least, so that everybody else, from your intervention, maybe get ready or know what to do if at all they get caught in the same? And partnership in general, whether from an investigation perspective to help, if there's an investigation that seeks your help, how ready would you be to help support investigations around cyber?
That's a very good question. Internet Solutions Kenya has been seconded to the Kenya National Security, the SAT team. And among our members, the Kenya Bankers Association, we have the DCI, we have the Kenyan military, and all these critical infrastructure. Now, we have a way of sharing information. I know for end users, sometimes it's a bit difficult because following the law, sometimes it's a very lengthy process and stuff like that. We've tried to make it so simple within Kenya. I don't know about SACS, but you can email incidents@kesat.co.ke should you get any threat that needs focus.
So same with us. We've got the usual postmasters or abuse at domain addresses. So me, what I was going to say, Bob, is typical when you're involving the police, you're becoming reactive. The problem is already occurred. So me, the thing is, be proactive and prevent the problem from occurring. And that's the first thing to be thinking about. If you're going to start thinking about how do we involve the police, then there's an issue there. Be proactive and let's make sure that we prevent these things from happening. I think it's time for lunch.
It is.